Have you ever felt that you are always putting others first and, at the end of the day, left little or nothing for you? The truth is that, as much as we try to please, sacrifice and meet expectations, it will never be enough for those who live more. And the worst? This constant cycle of self-abandoning corrodes your self-esteem and drives you away from the life that it really deserves. The problem is not in helping others or being a generous person, but in forgetting that you are also important. If you prioritize, it is not selfishness, it is necessity. When you value yourself, the people around you learn to respect you and recognize your true value. But if you keep living to please everyone, it will always be hostage to other people's expectations. And why does this happen? Because we have been conditioned since childhood to believe that our value depends on external approval. Family, school, culture, everything teaches us to put the other above us. But today you will learn to change this reality. You will find out how to strengthen your self-esteem, set boundaries, and break free from the guilt of choosing first. If you want to stop sabotaging yourself and finally take the reins of your life, stay with me until the end of this video. What you will learn here can turn the way you see yourself and, consequently, the way the world treats you. Prepared? So come on. Self-esteem is much more than just feeling good about yourself. It is a daily commitment to put yourself first, regardless of external circumstances. This does not mean ignoring others, but recognizing that we can only offer our best when we are well with us. Those who learn to value themselves build a solid foundation to face any challenge of life without depending on the validation of others. Loving yourself unconditionally is the true secret to unshakable self-esteem. Many people believe they only deserve self-love when they reach certain standards: a perfect body, a dream job, or a stuffed bank account. But this is a mistake. Self-love needs to exist before any achievement. After all, if their value depends on external factors, they are enough for them to change so that their self-esteem collapses. Think about the following: if you only feel good when you are being praised, when everything is working, or when you get approval, your self-esteem is not yours, it belongs to others. This is how to build a house in moved sand. Instead, strengthen the internal base, knowing that its value does not change with the opinion of others. You don't need anyone's permission to love and respect yourself. So start changing this mindset now. Look in the mirror and see beyond appearance. Observe your qualities, your strength, your journey. Recognize how much you have already evolved. When you see yourself as someone worthy of love and respect, regardless of achievements or failures, your self-esteem becomes a shield against criticism, insecurities, and unrealistic patterns imposed by society. The true test of self-esteem happens in difficult times. When everything is fine, it is easy to feel confident and safe. But when things fall apart? If your self-esteem disappears along with a lost job, a failed relationship, or a bad phase financially, it was anchored in external factors. True self-love resists storms because it is born from within. Many people feel unworthy of love when they face difficulties. If I'm out of money, without work, or going through challenges, then I'm not good enough. This destructive thinking makes the person boycott himself even more, entering a self-sabotage cycle. But the reality is different. Its essence does not change because your bank account is empty. Its value does not decrease because you are living a difficult time. The secret is to separate who you are from what you have or do. Self-esteem cannot be a prize conditioned on success or recognition. Think of a young child. She doesn't have to prove anything to deserve love and care. And if at some point in your life you believed you needed to be someone to deserve love, it's time to rewrite this story. Its value is non-negotiable regardless of circumstances. So the next time you feel unmotivated or doubt your value because of a difficult phase, ask yourself, would I treat myself if I was encouraging a friend? Practice compassion with yourself. Remember that bad times pass, but your essence remains. Those who love themselves in the ups and downs become unshakable in the face of life. From an early age, we are impacted by several factors that shape our self-esteem. Some people are born with a genetic predisposition to self-confidence, while others need to develop it throughout their lives. But the truth is that, regardless of genetics, it is possible to strengthen self-esteem with conscience and practice. After all, no one is born doubting their own value. This is learned. And if it was learned, it can also be unlearned. The family environment is one of the first influences in this process. Children who grow in homes where they are encouraged, praised and respected tend to develop a stronger sense of personal value. On the other hand, those who receive constant criticism are compared to others or live in an excessive charging environment can grow with insecurity and difficulty trusting themselves. But the good news is that this can be resignified. In addition to the family, school and society also play crucial roles. Unfortunately, traditional education rarely teaches about emotions, self-knowledge, and self-esteem. On the contrary, it often reinforces competitiveness and the need for external approval. Not to mention the unrealistic patterns of social culture, which create constant pressure to be perfect. If we are not attentive, we measure our value based on expectations that were never really ours. The first step in strengthening your self-esteem is to identify these influences and question them. Do you really believe you always need to be productive to be worth something? Do you feel less worthy of respect because you don't fit in certain standards? Reflect on this and start rebuilding your self-esteem based on who you really are, not what the world expects you to be. Acceptance does not mean conforming or giving up improving, but recognizing reality without escaping it. Many people live in constant conflict with who they are, wishing to be different or trying to deny aspects of themselves. But the truth is that we can only change what we first accept. Resisting reality only generates frustration and prevents true personal evolution. A practical example: imagine someone who avoids looking in the mirror because they don't like their own appearance. This denial does not make reality change. On the contrary, it only intensifies insecurity. When you allow yourself to see who you really are, with qualities and imperfections, it takes the first step to building a solid self-esteem. Self-acceptance is an essential basis for any transformation. This does not mean that you should abandon your goals or stop seeking improvements. The key point is to love yourself now while working to evolve. If you only allow yourself to like yourself when you reach a particular goal, you are postponing your happiness to an uncertain future. The secret is to learn to value yourself in the present, regardless of the changes you want to make. Accept your reality with honesty but without judgments. Look at yourself with empathy, just as you would with a dear friend. What would you say to someone who was facing the same challenges as you? Treat this same kindness. When you stop fighting who you are, you find the freedom to be the best version of yourself. Self-confidence is not about making sure everything will work out, but believe that you are able to deal with any situation. It is the conviction that your decisions are valid and that your opinion has value. Without self-confidence, you become hostage to the approval of others, always hoping someone validate your choices. But when you trust yourself, you become the owner of your own destination. Every choice we make in life, from the work we choose to the relationships we cultivate, is influenced by our self-esteem. If you believe in your own potential, you allow yourself to dream great, challenge yourself, and seek opportunities. But if your self-confidence is fragile, you sabotage, avoid risks, and accept less than you deserve. In the end, your reality is a direct reflection of the way you see yourself. Building self-confidence is a daily process. Small habits make all the difference. Fulfill promises that make yourself, celebrate your achievements, even the little ones, and allow yourself to make a mistake without self-destructing. Each time you respect yourself, your trust grows. And with every decision made without fear of the opinion of others, you reinforce the certainty that you are able to lead your own life. So start now. What is a small action you can take today to strengthen your self-confidence? Perhaps it is to say no to something you don't want to do, or make a decision without asking for the opinion of anyone. What matters is taking the first step. The more you challenge yourself, the more your self-confidence grows. And with her self-esteem becomes unshakable. Self-esteem is not something you get once and you're done. You are resolved. It is like a muscle that needs to be worked every day. Some people think that when achieving a particular goal or transforming an aspect of life, self-esteem will become unshakable. But in practice, it must be constantly nourished, regardless of external circumstances. Valuing yourself cannot be conditioned to specific achievements or moments. If you only feel good when you get a compliment, when you are in a relationship, or when you reach a goal, you are putting your self-esteem in the hands of chance. True strength comes from recognizing its value even when no one is looking, even when the results have not yet appeared. Think about how you are about difficult days. Do you welcome yourself and respect yourself, or fill with criticism? Self-esteem is not about being perfect, but about accepting and supporting, even when things do not go as expected. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fails at some point. The difference is that those who have self-esteem learn and move on, without letting it define its value. The good news is that, just as self-esteem can be weakened by negative habits, it can also be strengthened by daily choices. If you ask, what can I do today to treat myself with more respect? Perhaps it is time to rest, challenge yourself in something new, or just look in the mirror more kindly. Each small action counts because self-esteem is built every day. From an early age, many of us have learned that to be loved and accepted, we need to please others. The problem is that this habit can become a toxic pattern, leading to a cycle of constant sacrifices. Those who always live in the background to meet the expectations of others ends up losing their own identity. In the end, you become someone who pleases everyone but themselves. Excessive sacrifice is not synonymous with love. It is a sign of lack of self-esteem. When you believe you need to nullify yourself to be valued, you are actually teaching others to put you in the background as well. Healthy relationships do not require you to abandon yourself. On the contrary, people who really love you will respect your limits and want to see you well, without it means giving up yourself. And then comes the blame. When we begin to prioritize, the feeling of selfishness may arise as if we were doing something wrong. But think about it, why take care of yourself would be a problem? Who taught you that putting the needs of others above its own was right? Often this conditioning comes from the culture, the family, and even the education we receive. But it is possible to unlearn this idea and create a new balance. The key to getting out of this cycle is understanding that saying no to others sometimes means saying yes to yourself. And this is not a lack of love, it is self-respect. You do not need to sacrifice yourself to prove your value. Start by setting small limits and note how it impacts your life. Who really likes you will continue by your side. And who only took advantage of your sacrifice, well, maybe it's time to move away. To build solid self-esteem, it is essential to know yourself. Many people spend their entire lives trying to please others without ever wondering what they really want. Self-knowledge is to look inside and identify your own needs, desires, and limits. Without it, you risk living a life based on other expectations without ever being truly realized. Establishing limits is one of the greatest proof of self-respect. When you say yes to everything even when you don't want to, you are disrespecting yourself. And without realizing it, it teaches others to do the same. Having healthy limits does not mean being rude or selfish, it means to value your energy and your well-being. The more you respect yourself, the more people around you learn to respect you too. One of the biggest traps of lack of self-knowledge is the fear of displeasing. But displeasing someone doesn't mean you stopped loving this person. On the contrary, a relationship based on true respect allows each one to have their own opinions and wills. If someone just likes you when you cancel themselves, you may not like you to really like you, but the convenience of having someone always available. Start practicing self-respect now. Next time you feel like saying no but hesitating for fear of the reaction of others, remember your opinion matters too. You are entitled to your feelings and choices. The more you put yourself as a priority, the more your self-esteem is strengthened. And the most interesting? The more you respect yourself, the more natural you get respect from others. Often we confuse self-esteem with pride. But while self-esteem is based on genuine self-love, pride can be a trap that prevents growth. When we cling too much to the idea of always being right, we can block important learning. True power is never to make mistakes, but to have humility to recognize when it is time to change and evolve. The ego is a master in creating illusions. He makes us believe that we need the approval of others to feel good or that we are better than the others to prove our value. But this incessant search for validation makes us hostage to the outside. Instead of living authentically, we end up acting to impress, compete, or prove something that, deep down, we don't have to prove. Observing and understanding our own internal mechanisms is essential to grow. Are you avoiding an apology for pride? Are you attaching to a situation just to maintain an image? The more we break free from these traps, the more space we create to be who we really are. True self-esteem need not feed on the comparison or recognition of others, it is self-sufficient. So, practice humility. Do not confuse it with submission but with emotional intelligence. Those who have strong self-esteem need not prove anything to anyone, just for yourself. Recognizing failures and learning from them is a sign of maturity and strength. Empathy and humility do not weaken their self-esteem. On the contrary, they make it something real and solid. Personal evolution begins with the willingness to look inside. Many people live on autopilot, stuck with negative standards without even realizing it. The first step to change this is to practice internal observation, to perceive your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judging yourself. It's no use wanting to evolve if you can't identify what needs to be adjusted. Humility is an essential ingredient in this process. Recognizing that there is always something to learn allows you to start as many times as necessary. There is no end point on the growth journey. You don't have to be perfect, just better than yesterday. Each error and every challenge are opportunities to evolve as long as you are willing to learn from them. Many people spend their lives expecting external recognition to feel valued. But how about inverting this logic? Instead of expecting compliments, practice the habit of praising yourself. Celebrate your small victories, recognize your effort, and be more kindly. When you learn to validate yourself, your self-esteem ceases to depend on the eyes of others and becomes unshakable. In the end, the true transformation happens when you choose to be more than just a half. The world teaches us how to measure success with status, material goods, and recognition, but none of this replaces the peace of being who you really are. So what can you do today to take a step towards your best version? The answer is inside you. Just hear it and act. Now that you understand the importance of self-esteem and self-knowledge, ask yourself, how have I treated myself lately? Have I put myself first or lived trying to please others? Change begins the moment you decide to stop sabotaging yourself and take control of your own life. You deserve to prioritize, respect, and live according to your own values, not with the expectations of others. Remember, self-esteem is not something you conquer and never need to take care. It is a continuous process, a daily habit. Small choices make all the difference. If today you begin to value yourself a little more, set a limit, recognize your achievements, or simply treat yourself more affectionately, you will be on the right track. Each step counts. Now I ask you, what can you do today to strengthen your self-esteem? It can be something simple, such as looking in the mirror and saying something positive about yourself, or making a decision without asking anyone's opinion. Small habits build major changes. You don't have to wait any longer to treat yourself with respect and love. The time to start is now. If this content has made sense to you, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Here we talk about self-esteem, prosperity, and personal transformation. If you want to continue this evolution journey, already leave your like and comment here. I choose to prioritize. Let's go together in this change.